tuning in to The Chat. Today we will be discussing the 2012 critically acclaimed movie Silver Linings Playbook. It's a dramatic comedic drama. Let's just call it a dramedy.
The film is rated R and was made here in the United States. The director of the film is David O. Russell. The film has received several awards and nominations, including 8 Academy Awards. One of those was given to Jennifer Lawrence for Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role.
Today we are going to be judging the movie based on 5 different emojis that describe our feelings from different aspects of the film. So this would be a 1 out of 5. This one will be a 2 out of 5. This would be a 3 out of 5. A 4 out of 5. And this one would be a 5 out of 5. So a pretty perfect film in some people's opinions. So first we're going to introduce our cast and characters. The film's star-studded cast includes Bradley Cooper as the mentally unstable Pat and Jennifer Lawrence, who plays his equally unstable friend Tiffany. Pat's doting mother is Dolores Celentano, who is played by Jackie Beaver, and his strong-willed, obsessive-compulsive father, Pat Celentano Sr., is played by Robert De Niro. His brother Jake is portrayed by Shea Wingham, and his therapist-turned-pal, Dr. Cliff Patel, is portrayed by Anupam Kher. Pat's best friend Ronnie is portrayed by John Ortiz, and his wife Veronica is portrayed by Julia Stiles, and his lighthearted friend Danny is played by Chris Tucker. So our summary is that Pat Celentano has spent the past several months trying to reinvent himself in order to win back his ex-wife, as well as his former life. However, when Pat is released from rehab and returns home to live with his parents, he must adjust to his new normal and learn how to deal with his mental health, which presents a challenge for all of those around him.
Silver Linings is, in a word, overwhelming, but in a good way. It moves at a quick pace in spite of its genre. The plot is pretty straightforward, but follows emotionally complex characters. The cinematic delivery matches the chaos of everyday life, which makes for a very realistic portrayal.
What do you guys want to talk about first?
How about cinematography?
It's fine by me.
So I thought that the cinematography of the Silver Linings Playbook was a lot to take in personally. The camera shots were one of the most notable cinematic effects implemented. There were tilt turns and moving shots followed by a little bit of movement that alternated between characters seemingly at random. This made for a very dizzying effect that added to the overall realistic and chaotic tone that the film ended up achieving. This chaotic delivery kind of connected the audience to the story.
Anything's possible. I think we so often get caught in a state of...
A large number of the shots were kind of just basic, like head and shoulder shots in medium and over the shoulder. But there were a few low and high angle shots kind of scattered throughout the film as well. I think the film did analyze a lot of more arresting types of shots. There were a lot of panoramic shots that were in the beginning, the climax. Don't want to give that away, but that panoramic shots were definitely a big feature of the film. There were also a lot of tracking shots that were significant, and those panoramic and tracking shots, I felt, indicated the mood of the characters present in the film. In this film, objects happened to be tossed on more than one occasion, which the movie handled in a very interesting way. For example, following the clatter of these objects' journeys, they mixed moving and close-up shots.
Yeah, I definitely...
Technique that kind of employed exactly what you were saying was non-diegetic sound in the movie, because there were abrupt stopping points of the songs that were present in a few of the scenes. So I want to point out from that clip you just saw, the fading in and out of scenes is very artfully done in other cases too.
Agreed. I agree. Yeah, I think that the like you said, the cinematography, the camera shots were probably the biggest cinematic effect, which I think made it most important. And not to spoil anything, but the mise-en-scene was also like a big part, like just the characters, like persona, and the way they looked. Like Pat, he would always run with like a trash bag on. It was part of like his like idea to lose weight, but it also kind of made him seem a little crazy, which he was, you know, in people's eyes, a little bit insane. Tiffany's like makeup kind of also helped like convey her mental state, I think. And
sorry, I was just gonna add also I think her clothes too.
Yeah, for sure. She was always wearing like something similar.
Yeah, POV shots were definitely an interesting element and added depth to a few of the scenes throughout the movie.
What's hers?
Mm-hmm.
Are you joking? Let's go back to the incident. I come home from work after I left early, which I never do, by the way, but I got in a fight with Nancy, the high school principal. I come home, and what's playing but the song from my wedding? The song that you so charmingly played out here today for us. That's playing, and I don't think anything of it, which is odd, because I should have. I come home, what do I see? I walk in the door, and I see underwear and pieces of clothing and a guy's pants with his belt in it, and I walk up the stairs, and all of a sudden I see the DVD player, and on the DVD player is the CD, and it's playing the wedding song. And then I look down, and I see my wife's panties on the ground. And then I look up, and I see her naked in the shower. And I think, oh, that's kind of sweet. She's in the shower. What a perfect thing. I'm going to find her, and maybe I'll go in there. We never fuck in the shower anymore. Maybe today we will. I pull the curtain back, and there's the fucking history teacher with tenure.
Lighting was utilized in the film. There was a lot of just plain old natural lighting throughout the film, but also like, you know, in the obvious parts the lighting was kind of dark when it was dark out. But there were also, like, especially in this one scene, there was like a bit of high key lighting that was like very much utilized. And like the sun exposure in that like part of the film, it was during a football game because the Eagles are a big deal for Pat's family. Yeah, the sun exposure created even a mise-en-scene effect and like highlighted how Pat was doing better and was in a good mood like during that point.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that the lighting was really huge for this film. And we definitely utilized that really well because I think that it made you feel like you were like a part of the movie almost. Like it kind of brought out the dramatic effects, like, you know, how you said with the Eagles and stuff. Like it definitely pinpoints certain things that are really important. So
I think it also kind of showed the characterization a little bit, because it, you know, highlighted one character like in like specific scenes, which I think we'll get into a little bit more later. But
yeah, I think so.
So I would definitely give.
I definitely think we need to address the quality of acting in the film for sure. I thought as far as the verbal aspect, there was like a lot going on and like it was very like quick chit chat, and I think that took talent to like keep up with that pace. Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence as Pat and Tiffany were brilliant. They were very compelling because a lot of the scenes were a bit emotional, and I think that they did a very good job of portraying very raw and difficult emotional flare-ups throughout the film. Now we're going to talk about the narrative elements of the film.
So the movie was portrayed in multiple narrative elements. Primarily, I believe it utilized characterization. Pat and Tiffany were characters with mental illness, and they were made to be that way. But I interpreted it as his whole family kind of had a mental illness, even if it was in different ways. They all had their own quirks, but each character kind of handled it differently. For example, Pat's father was an avid Eagles fan. His love for his team kind of tended to get in the way of his relationship with his family, especially in the book, but the film also implemented that as well. The scene we're about to show shows Pat's obsession for Mickey and his father's obsession for the Eagles kind of coming together.
For you to put it here.
Patty, what are you doing?
He's got all his Eagles videos. We were in one video of my wedding. Is it here? I mean,
Patty?
wait.
It's probably in the attic.
The show shows Pat's obsession for Mickey and his father's obsession for the Eagles kind of coming together. So these two have very different obsessions, but they both intervene in their lives in prominent ways. Fast forwarding a little bit, Pat Sr.'s equal obsession is shown once again in the scene we're about to show.
My research.
I gotta say, I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta rethink this whole thing. I didn't trust her before, but I gotta say now I do.
Oh, now you like her, Dad?
And then Tiffany's characterization is also
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said, Kelsey. I think that Pat Sr.'s character development was a big deal in the film, even though it was kind of on the back burner in light of the main character's personal developments. I think that Pat Jr., the main character, and Tiffany were the most, prominent characters developed in the film.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Isabella. At the beginning of the film, Pat was breaking down in every other scene. His mental illness was definitely evident there, and he was very mentally unstable, and it was quite obvious through these scenes that we're about to show.
Yeah, I think that scene you just saw was a great representation of Pat's mental health and how much he grew from start to end. He needed the support of others to get through for his character to develop, but his character also developed on its own. Like, he was able to get through things on his own even before his family realized he was actually doing better than he seemed.
Yeah, I agree. Those are some really good points, and I think it's quite amazing to compare his character at the beginning and his character at the end. Yeah, that leads to another main point of mine. They all showed growth as the plot thickened as well, and in other words, the plot development played just as much as a role as characterization did in the film. Without trying to leak any more spoilers to you guys, the film kept moving forward and didn't really drag at all, in my opinion, and the book was quite opposite in this category. Although there was much more detail that was described for specific scenes, the plot was definitely different, and it would go back and forth between specific scenes in the novel more so as the film's kind of straight to the point, get to the plot more. Yeah, I think it's a good point, but I kind of felt that the film kind of kept the ball rolling. The book was definitely more suspenseful, but I think that the plot in the film was also suspenseful. It emphasized how much the characters grew, but there was always that little part, in me at least, that wondered if they would fall back to their old habits. Also, in the film, the characters were kind of introduced more sporadically, whereas in the novel, I felt like that they were kind of introduced all in like a line. I think being like introduced in different areas made the plot a little juicier.
Yeah, so definitely, read the book, guys. It's a good book, and even though it's a little different than the film, which was great in itself, the book was a great read too.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Bo Russell created this movie to be very realistic. It was based off a true story, and I think it was really cool that he did show that it was believable that it was based off a true story. The characters were very real and in no way perfect, and the character development and plot intertwined, and the director made it this way to add realness and reality to the film. This led to another theme of the film, that nobody's perfect, and I'd say that along with relying on others, this would be an overall theme of the film. And although plot and character development were huge elements of the film, there aren't really any other huge narrative elements truly present. Yeah, that's very true. A change in setting did occur from Baltimore to Philly right in the beginning, but it really didn't change the film in the slightest, in my opinion. Without giving anything away, the reasoning as to why the setting changed definitely was a slight element in the film, but the director really didn't utilize this change as much as he could have. I think Russell thought the setting was insignificant, probably because he wanted to focus more on Pat's future rather than his past. All in all, I think that for these narrative elements, other elements such as family and environment also played a role, and not as much as the physical environment, but more so the people that Pat was surrounded by and their personalities definitely impacted the film and my impression of the film. And I would say, just to add another big theme in there, mental health and mental illness definitely were a huge part of that film and the book too. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I also think that family was another main theme, because many other themes branched off of that, such as mental illness and leaning on others.
Photography, which I may have already said this, I think it was like pretty much a hard eye, like 5 out of 5, because I think that even though it was shaky at times, it was purposeful, and all of the cinematography was very purposeful.
Yeah, I agree. I would give the cinematography a 5 out of 5 also. I think that he definitely utilized a lot of elements such as like the non-diegetic sound and the camera movements and the lighting. I definitely think that added to the suspense and the reality of the film. Yeah, I would agree. 5 out of 5. Definitely utilized those narrative or those cinematic.
The narrative element, I also think that the character development, even though it wasn't like completely obvious until the very end, like the character did develop, and there were a lot of good themes that were scattered throughout the film. So I'd also give that a hard eye.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I agree also. Also, I would definitely say 5 out of 5. I definitely would recommend this to everybody, as well as the book, because I thought it was really good. Yeah, I would definitely give it a 4 out of 5. The star eyes. I thought that it was like quite well developed. I think there was some things.
Since I read the book and thought it was better, I have to give it a 4 out of 5.
I think that's a wrap. That concludes our segment today. Thank you for tuning in.